Superpowers by Drew Hayes is a series that really takes into question what does it mean to be a hero. Let's talk about it. Hey there everybody, welcome back to Fantasy Inc. My name is Wyeth and today we are talking about Superpowers by Drew Hayes, a book about 5 to 6 college students who have come into their powers finally and are now attending Lander University to try and find out how to utilize them properly, as well as what it really means to become a hero. This series was recommended to me by one of my subscribers, Namarat, and I have to say I am so happy that they took the time to give me this recommendation because it definitely is a fantastic series that y'all need to check out as soon as possible. Jumping into the summary, our main protagonists are attending Lander University, one of the 5 colleges in the United States that can basically give accredited heroes. Almost like going to med school to become a doctor, you need to attend one of these schools to become a certified hero, where the government basically says, yep, they know what they're doing. And I have to say that this program is very, very intense, but for that intensity, it does not lack in results. Now, anyone can apply to one of these schools, but what really sets these protagonists apart, these 5 to 6 characters listed right there, is the fact that they are powered and not super, at least initially. Basically, in this universe, there are 3 types of people. You have regular humans, you have supers who have the ability to control their powers, and then you have powards. I know, it's a bit of a mouthful. And those are people with powers, but no ability to control it. One great example of that, just to get the information across, which is not gonna be too big of a spoiler, is one gentleman always teleports whenever he sneezes and has no control of where he goes. So you can kind of see that that is a bit of an inconvenience to say at the very least, but at the same time, what makes these 5 protagonists a little bit different is they've been experimented on and now have been given the opportunity to become supers, those who can control their powers. And I gotta say, their powers are pretty dang cool. This is a 4-book series following each specific year of college, freshman through senior, and the series is completed. There are some spin-offs to it, whether that be Corpies, seeing the more corporate side of the superhero world, or Blades and Barriers, which I actually don't have too much information on. Now, the series, like I said, has been completed, but from the way it ended, I very much hope so that we're gonna be getting a bit of a time jump and another series following a few decades down the line after this one. With all that said, this series does not disappoint. Drew Hayes, the author, does a magnificent job in really leading the readers astray, having surprises that at least I didn't see coming, and really building out the plot throughout these 4 years. It's not just these kids going to college and trying to become superheroes. They get entangled into this plot of the older generation that came before them, known as the Class of Legends. And to be quite candid, they have a lot on their shoulders, not just with their curriculum. They have to also manage to try and survive. And I'm just so impressed with the mind that the author had to really concoct such a compelling story, and that's why you guys should check this one out. Now we'll go ahead and jump over to the Pro-Con Pro, and for the first pro, I'm actually going to do something a little bit different than normal. It is going to be on a specific character, Nicholas Campbell. Now, I don't want to give too much away, I'll save that for the deep dive, but by far he was my favorite character. No contest. And that's not to say that the other characters were bad in the slightest. Each of them are very, very well defined. But when it comes to Nick's character, you can see him as slightly underpowered, but depending on the situation and the mind that comes along with said power, he is able to really pull off some miraculous things. Now, going over to the con, and usually I'm not one to really gripe on this, especially being visually impaired. I didn't love the covers of the books. I know that's like such a nitpicky thing, and I feel more comfortable because it's not about the writing of the series, because I'm not one to really throw shade at any specific authors out there, but at the end of the day, maybe a revamped cover art for all the books would ideally help sell more of them and get the information out, but as well as draw more readers in, because there's so much potential for these book covers. You can tell me your thoughts in the comments, but again, I don't mean to be a hater, it's just not my cup of tea. And really, I had to pick that con because I couldn't really find other ones in the actual series. The actual writing is so freaking good, and it does keep you on the edge of your seat. And that's gonna be my second pro. It's a marvelous blend between slice of life, seeing what their day-to-day lives are, then packed with action and adventure in these specific scenes, and then getting back to them trying to survive their classes. So that is why y'all should check out this series. You will not be disappointed because you really do learn what it means to be a hero while reading Drew Hayes' work. With all that said, we're gonna go ahead and jump over to the deep dive now, talking about the spoilers throughout the entire series, all 4 books. So please feel free to come back after you've read this series and check out my thoughts on this. Next, I'm going to be doing a video on the Hedge Wizard, which was recommended to me by another subscriber, so be sure to keep your eyes out for that in the future. With all that said, let's jump to the deep dive. Don't you love it when a book comes full circle? Because personally, it is my favorite thing, and I would argue probably extremely necessary for it to actually be a satisfying book. As all y'all know, each book, if it wants to be successful, needs to follow the hero's journey, and we very much get that when it comes to the end of book 4. The fact that these kids who were powered beforehand and gained the ability to become supers was based on the fact that the alchemist really just wanted his wife back and was willing to do absolutely anything and everything to do so. And that was make these 5 kids, including his own daughter Alice, test cases to bring Shelby back. So freaking good. Like, was blown away, was really stunned, because not a lot of authors can really have this underlying plot throughout kind of a slice of a life genre, and that's what we're getting here. Throughout each of the books, Drew Hayes is leaving breadcrumbs for the readers, trying to deduce what is actually going on, and they only get bigger and bigger throughout the series with the more information the students uncover. And I have to say, I was not disappointed. The fact that Globe was actually set up by the alchemist to kill Intra, so freaking good. The comparisons between Vince's character and Chad's character, the faux son of Globe and the actual son of Intra, having to learn to become friends themselves, and then also beefing on some occasion, so freaking good. You know, this story does not disappoint at all, and the powers specifically definitely don't. Drew Hayes definitely put a lot of time into coming up with some really cool powers for some of these kids. My favorite power was definitely Nicholas's ability to control luck, but there's so many other cool ones, like Alice's ability to control gravity. We have Violet's ability to control the density of her own body. Chad's ability to actually control every single molecule in his own body is just mind-blowing. And you can tell that the author did not skimp when it comes to what his characters could and would be able to accomplish. And that is offset by them actually trying to some degree, live a normal semblance of lives. They're still trying to have fun on the weekends, you know, they're still going to the occasional party. So the readers aren't just left with just this superhero book. We're getting what their lives are actually like. And when we get to the end of the series, after we get that time jump to see where they get to in the next 10 years, it wrapped up every single one of the threads that at least I was hoping to see. As always, my favorite character is going to be Nicholas when it comes to this series, just because he comes into the school trying to wear this persona. He was basically raised as a con man by one of the biggest mob bosses in Nevada, specifically Las Vegas, and he was given all the tools to do so. And throughout his journey, we're getting to see him become more comfortable with the ideas that friends are actually a benefit, not just a con that can drag you down. Alice's character is coming into school as this very preppy know-it-all and slowly becomes more of an independent person who is able to trust herself and her own abilities. Vince, the man who is incredibly intimidated by utilizing his own power, goes on to win the intramurals and putting on one heck of a display at the end of book 4. Mary, well, Mary's just Mary. She doesn't really change. She becomes more personable, I will say that. But at the end of the day, her character was very well done when she decided to not be a hero. And then we have Roy and Herschel, two men at the beginning of the series who were trying to fight for control over who is going to run the body at any given time, going to actually learn how to be more like each other and really tone down the oddities that they have, whether that be Roy's chip on his shoulder or Herschel's ability to very much fall into the background and play the second fiddle. I think at the end of the day, my favorite element about it was their role models, where it was Dean Blaine for Chad, where it was Globe for Vince, where it was, sadly, but still to some degree, the alchemist for Alice Adair. And we get to see that the actions of their fathers who set them on this path, either intentionally or accidentally, have allowed them to grow and cope into stronger people, whether it was, like I said, intentional or not. And that father-kid connection always plays right to my heart. I was so disappointed to see the series end, but at the end of the day, it ended on such a great note. So I can't be too mad, and I'm just going to hope and pray that Drew Hayes is going to decide to make another spin-off series, time jumping a little bit for us to see what happens with their kids in the future. And ideally skipping the school element and just jumping straight into their hero careers, possibly their internships. But that's just an idea. All that said, what did y'all think about this series? I want to hear everyone's thoughts on it, and I also would love some more recommendations. I really do enjoy when my subscribers who've been in the comments commenting on videos, come out and give me some great books, because I would have never known about this series if it wasn't for my subscribers, and specifically in this case, Nemarat. So if y'all do have recommendations, please feel free to send them my way, because I'm always on the lookout for new and great books. With all that said, I do appreciate everyone's time. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your week, and be sure to keep reading.